Lord, for the privilege of serving and looking forward to what we're going to do ahead in love our Lowndes County. Bless us, O Lord, for this meeting today. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Amen. Connie and I just have just a quick review we want to share with the task force. This is our first meeting since I don't even remember when our last meeting was, last year sometime. And I had sent everybody a copy of all the information so that we can expedite for time. I hope everybody got it on their email. Also sent the job description of me and Sister Connie that the MBA tasked us with operating administrator of Lowndes County. Sister Johnson is going to go first, and she's going to give a brief report. After that, she'll entertain questions, and after she gets finished, I will share, and after I get finished, then we can entertain questions on our part. Okay, Sister Johnson.
Good morning. Well, good afternoon, brother.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Okay, my start date was May 21st of 2020. As of last week, we're serving 652 clients. We started our July registration, which I know we picked up 10 more new clients, but they're not added to the 652. The location of the family we serve is Havel, Leader-Hatcher, and Hopewell, Old Deposit, Moses and Gordonville, Whitehall, Tyler, Benton, St. Clair, and Lounsburg. Food obtained from the food bank, as of the last order, we had a total of 16,215 pounds. The total cost of that was $642.05. Our pickup dates were the 5th, May 26th, May 28th, June the 3rd, and the 15th, and July the 7th, and the 28th. Pound distributed to families was 16,215 pounds, and it's the same as the total food that order. Right now, we don't have a place to store food, so whenever we pick up food, we have to make sure that we give it all out. That's why those two are the same. Donation by our partners. The type of food received were produce boxes. The name of the partner, age 1, was a Metropolitan United Methodist Church. Total served, that was 244 families, the box that we received from the Metropolitan Church. Located in family that we served the same, Havel, Moses, Leader-Hatcher, and Lounsburg. Those are the ones that we served from the box that we received from the Metropolitan Church. Miscellaneous item that we received from partner aids and donation, we received furniture and clothes, which we're still receiving furniture and clothes. Right now, I have a cabinet in the backyard. It is full to capacity, and we don't have any other place to store furniture and clothes. At this time, I got a call last night that a lady want to donate more clothes, but I just told her to hold them because right now we don't have any place to store them. Also, we received a freezer, a single solid door, and that came from the Lowndes County Extension Services. So right now we are using that in Jonathan House of Prayer to put our meat in until we get ready to distribute it. We also received a $200 donation from one of the residents, Angela Martin. Okay, name of partner, agency, or individual and items received. We received furniture and tile furniture from Community of Hope. There was a family that was completely burned out. They lost everything, so we contacted the Community of Hope, and we were able to go up and furnish them. They had got a new trailer, and so we were able to furnish the entire trailer. Like I said, the Lowndes County Extension Services, they gave us a freezer. Mary Baker Smith, she donated furniture and clothes. Debbie Smith, they donated furniture along with two Dinette set, Luann, Rosa James, Salvation Army, Air Base Boulevard, and the Church of Highland on Taylor Road. Okay, and date, person, and agency that the item was distributed to Laura Walker, they were the one that got the furniture from the Hope, Community of Hope. Barbara Williams, she received, furniture. Mr. John McNair, he received his necessary supplies, toiletries and whatnot, 'cause that's what he asked for. LaShondra Bell and Mango Bracy. Like I say, in storage now, we have tables, chairs, clothes, shoes, electronic, and books. So we don't have any place else to store anything at this time. And like I said, we're waiting on the mission center to open up so we can have some place to store all the stuff that we need. If you go to page 2, I'm just gonna skip some items. Total number of recipients by distribution site. In Hayneville, right now, we're serving 123. We're doing new registration. I'm quite sure there's gonna be more than 123 after we finish registration. Leader Hatchet, we're serving 83. Port Deposit, 93. And we will be back in Port Deposit again in August. I'm quite sure we're gonna pick up some more clients. Whitehall, right now, we're serving 76. Lounsboro, we're serving 106. And we just came out of Mouses, we picked some additional one in Mouses, so we're serving 110 in Mouses at this time. I'm not gonna read everything, that you can, take time and go over this. Yes, go over this when you have time. And an item that I needed, when the mission center open up, we're gonna need a freezer. We're gonna need some shelves for, right now, we don't have any shelves. The, Lowndes County Extension Services, they did offer to buy shelves, but right now it's still in the air. So we have not received, we did receive the freezer, but we have not received the shares yet.
Is that, you're talking about in the office down there? We took some from that office.
Yeah, they're over at Joe's place in Port Deposit, the shells we took out of there.
Oh, okay.
Now, I
But
don't
we may
know,
need more.
you're gonna need more because those, they were on the back of the trailer and some of them disappeared alongside the highway.
Oh, no. I think it was very
Or is it
minimal.
little pieces, yeah,
Yeah, just basics.
yeah.
Yeah, as long as too much time hadn't lapsed.
But that was, the shelves and, I think that was all that was out of the food pantry was shelves.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so we do have shelves. Savannah had bought those for that,
Okay.
but you're
You have to have a
probably,
degree in engineering to put them back together.
but you probably need more, so if somebody donates, that's,
Do y'all have the facilities yet?
I have a question, if I may ask.
Go ahead, Dr. Finley.
Yeah, the question I have, I hear you talking about, some of the structures there. How long do these things fit in with the completion of the site, next to the church, Sylvester? I know that, recently additional money was applied for that, and work is moving forward to complete that. It sounds like all of the things that you are calling out in terms of building structures would be included in that unless you're talking about some other off-site locations. So give me some clarity on that.
Well, Brother Ron's gonna have the report, concerning the completion of the ministry center. After I get my report, we're gonna let Brother Ron give a report. I think he's got some numbers for us and maybe got a target date that, we're gonna look at complete the ministry center. We're definitely gonna need some more space because the community center is very small. It's not a large building at all. We're gonna be very limited, as far as what we can store because we're gonna use that facility to allow him ministry that's doing some awesome things in our community, changing lives, helping people get jobs. And so they're gonna be using that facility, the majority of the space in that facility for their classes. And we got, when you get an opportunity to come down, I'll be glad to show you just how much room we got to store food. There's not very much food storage that we can store in that building at this time, but it's a start. And we're just gonna manage what we got until we grow, prayerfully. We can grow, maybe obtain another building or somewhere in Lowndes County where we can store food. But until then, we're just gonna have to do what we've been doing so far. We're gonna have to go to the food bank, gather the food, pick it up, bring it, bag it, and get it out to the families, within that same week. So we're not gonna be doing very much storing at this time because we don't have space.
Did I hear you say something about classes also?
Yes, we have the hymn ministry. You all came in and what was it, October of last year?
Well, we did, we first started in January this year, we started
Okay.
our first class.
Yeah, we have the hymn ministry that's been, they actually been meeting at our church since January of this year. Brother John, could you share with Dr. Finley what the hymn ministry is all about since you're here?
It is, Dr. Finley, how you doing? We do. Good. We teach, it's a job training skills program for low skilled, chronic unemployed. A lot of people in poverty that can't get a job or can get one but can't keep one. We focus on soft skills, skills that's going to help them maintain employment but also excel at that employment. We're in Montgomery. You've probably seen this here. We expanded to Birmingham and then to Bessemer, and then this year expanded to Lowndes County to really hope to drive down the unemployment rate.
Yeah, I guess my observation was, and all of that sounds good, but when I go back and look at the building from the start, it seemed that you've added an additional function for it, because initially it was going to be kind of like a store, from my understanding. And so it seemed that in putting a class there, albeit a very good one, because we certainly need to teach folks job training and job keeping skills, but I'm wondering if you have added an additional function to the building that goes a little bit beyond the original capacity that you planned for.
Well, actually, Dr. Finley, the opposite is, it was the intentional plan. The plan of the facility was to manage a small space for storage and a maximum space for education and for deployment of missionaries away. The building was never intended, at least in its original insight, to be a place where people come to, but rather that people would be prepared and trained and deployed to go out. So we built it with that design. That space was for really a classroom for a gathering of people to go out. And so we felt it very comfortable that the hymn ministry could utilize it during the weekday. Our space that we acquired for that, at least in that day of strategy, was just a space to hold some food, and which would be distributed out via people who would deliver that food to particular areas of Lowndes County. So that was the original structure. We're always open to change, but that was the original reason for the procurement of that facility.
Okay, thank you for that update.
Yeah, Doc, we don't foresee any problem with working around the hymn ministry. That is an awesome program, and I'm praying that more programs like that come to Lowndes County, because what we're trying to do is do everything we can to pull resources to Lowndes County to help, the people in Lowndes County in the hymn ministry. I think the last class, I think one of the young men got a job with, what's the city or the county?
It's actually the city of Montgomery. We helped him get his CDL permit, which nobody would hire him. As a CDL driver, but the city of Montgomery talked to him and they're going to let him start on the back of the truck, but drive the truck, and actually when he gets ready to go take the test, utilize the city truck to take the test.
And that was a young man, his mother is actually a member of my church, and he had been in prison for years, and he got out of prison, but he was having a hard time trying to obtain employment as a result of his prison record and also lack of job skills. And so he entered into the program 9 weeks ago, I guess, and they were able to get his permit to CDL permit, and at the same time they were able to get him a job. And I don't know how they work it with the city of Montgomery to get around the prison systems. I know that's a sign of wonder. And so this young man, not only does he have a job, but that is a career. And so we are so excited about this program, and I think starting today, I think Did the 4 students show up today?
I don't know if they started today, because if they didn't get more people, they were gonna try to get some more recruits this week.
Okay. Currently, they have 4 students, ready to start, with this new semester. So we looking forward to those, that have, we've actually came across several people doing our surveys, that needed jobs, and we were able to refer, some of those people to their program, and some of those people that's entering their program this 9 weeks is as a result of our referrals. And so we're really excited about that program. We've already created a somewhat workaround as far as the food is concerned, because we have 16 volunteers that's been totally committed to serving thus far. So it's not going to really be a problem for us every week to go pick the food up, set a date to distribute to the families in the different communities, because we got 16 people on staff to actually do that for us. The other thing we're doing is this: we've actually developed relationship and partnership with pastors in each of these 5 distribution sites. We're going to use their churches, okay? And not only are we going to be serving their community, but some of their people from their churches are going to be able to work with us to serve that community. And long term, our vision is this: once we get them properly trained in their own community, this is what we really want. We want them to take ownership, okay, of that particular mission in their community. So we won't have to be stretched, all over the county. Okay. Right now we're just trying to get them trained, trying to get them used to it, and at the proper time, I'll meet with the pastors and we'll talk about devising a plan where they can actually take over, that particular ministry in their community. We'll continue to provide the food. We'll continue to get the food to them, but it's our prayer that they'll be the one that's going to distribute it to their community. I also want to share this. Now, when Sister Johnson said 652 people, is not 652 people. That's 652 families. 650. Yes, sir. We have actually served in the last, since May of this year, in 3 months, we've actually served 652 families with a total of 16,215 pounds of food from the food bank, not even counting, the food boxes, the produce we've been getting from some of our other people that are partnering with us. So we can't even, because we really didn't weigh the boxes and all of that. We just weighed that came from the food bank because of the requirement, okay? And so I know it's probably over 30,000 pounds of food that we've distributed to 652 families in the Lowndes County community. And this is the blessing so far. And we did the numbers, and I was just almost astounded when I asked Ms. Johnson, how much is it costing us a week, to serve at least 60 families per week? That's correct, right? To serve 60 families a week for 52 weeks, that's 60 families, every week, rotating out to all those 5 different distribution sites. To serve 60 families every week for 52 weeks, a whole year, it will just cost us, where's that number, Connie? It's on this paper right here.
642. $642. Even for the whole year.
Yeah, for the whole year.
About $6,084.
You got it right here.
Yeah. Page 3, section D.
Page 3. It would only cost us $6,084. That's serving 60 families plus 30 senior boxes. That's 90 families every week for a whole year. It would just cost us $6,084. Now, having said that, I feel real good about, being able to feed people, but more importantly, what I really feel good about is this. Since we started hitting that ground real hard with food distribution in Lowndes County, 2 things that have happened, just in the last couple of months. Number 1, some of the other pastors and some of the other churches, and I know you've been watching this too, Judge, they have been convicted, that God has provoked them to godly jealousy, and they also are distributing food all over Lowndes County too. And that's part of the vision, okay? We're trying to do a kingdom work to such a degree that others will see it, okay? And that they will pull along beside us, not us trying to, so much encourage them or trying to, whatever we need to do to get them to do it, but see us doing the work, and that they will see God in it, and that they will begin to duplicate the things that we're doing. That way, we'll be able to do a lot more ministry to the resident of Lowndes County. The other thing is this. We've had so many opportunities to share Christ. It's sort of like everybody, I've been in Hayneville since 2004, and everybody in Hayneville know me, okay? Since we started this, sort of like I was a pastor of Hayneville, okay? Since we started this, and we're now all over Lowndes County, I got people calling me not just for food, but for counseling. What I'm saying is, this is a ministry. And Jesus always, he always met the need, but his primary focus was to try to save souls and lead people, into the kingdom. And in just these few months, I have never seen God move in the lives of people like he's moved in the lives of people in these last few months, just through this food ministry. Now, Sister Johnson, was talking about some other things that we're looking at doing that are very, very cost effective, okay? And we're trying to make sure that we stay, based on what we got financially, we try to do it. We're trying to create ministries that we can do that's very cost effective, okay? Because we're not ministering to one community, we're ministering to an entire county, okay? So we got to look at cost. And so whatever ministry we develop, we have to always be financially conscious of what we're doing, okay? And we've identified some other things because we continue to get more people that want to commit to volunteer. And so we did a survey in Hayneville, and based on that survey, we got some information back about some people with some skill sets in Hayneville, okay? And we're going to do the same thing after we perfect it in Hayneville. We're going to hit the other 5 sites too. And those people that are carpenters, electricians, plumbers, those people got those skill sets. We've asked Missionary Johnson, have asked them, and we met. How many times we met with them?
Oh, right.
About 5 times. Okay, we already got them registered. We got everything. They're in training. We're teaching them what the ministry is all about, what the vision is all about. None of these things that we're doing has anything to do with children. Okay, and that's intentional. That's intentional because we having a lot of volunteers, and when you got a lot of volunteers, people coming in and out, you got to be real careful. So we're making sure that we stay away from any type of ministry at this time until we get more organized, when it comes to children, youth, and young adults, okay? So we just really focusing on, primarily at this point, our primary focus is on 3 subsets. The elderly, we want to take care of our senior citizens, okay? The disabled, we want to take care of the people with those feeble, okay, and the weak, okay? And the third one, what was that third one, Connie? The single parents. We want to take care of our mothers that got kids, but they don't have any fathers. Those 3 sections of people, everything that we design in this little ministry strategy, they're going to be first on the list for us to minister to and try our best to meet the needs of them before we expand that to anybody else, okay? And what we're going to do is we're going to do some light housekeeping that we got some people committed to do, okay, for the senior citizen and for the disabled and even for the single parents if they just got so many kids they working, they can't keep the house up. We're gonna do some light yard work, okay? We got some people that's already committed to use their lawn equipment, okay? To do yard work, okay, for the people in our community. We're gonna do light plumbing, like electrical, those type of things as we go into these homes and find out the needs of those three sections of people. And the other thing is this, brother, from the State Board of Missions, a real good friend of mine that I met through working with them with church planting and church replant, he wrote a book that's called D52. Okay, it's called D52. What's his name? Jeff Mann. And the way Jeff got the book set up is really for 52 weeks. But the way me and Sister Johnson have decided, we're going to use it for a whole year. We're going to use one of his lesson plan each week, okay, for a whole year. And we're training people right now to lead those particular Bible studies. Now, it's very a baby, based on the way his book is designed. You don't have to be a mature Christian to be a leader in that Bible study. We're going to call them small groups, okay? And we're going to try to get them all over the community. We already got it sectioned out. And we're going to try to identify people that, that personal piece, when we go in and do the work, whether it be through outside or inside, find a personal piece that got a heart to open up the home. And we're going to start those small groups, Bible studies in those homes. And we already training people to actually go in and do that work, okay, through D52, through those lesson plans that Brother Jeff has already planned out for us. And it's not very challenging at all. What Brother Jeff does is he take one scripture from the Bible, and then he asks questions about that one scripture. And when he asks questions about that one scripture, you have to search the scriptures to find the answers. The first time when I got his book, he mailed it to me, I was in the Word for 2 hours and I had to put the pen down, literally. Just one scripture out of Genesis. I mean, through his question and through that one lesson plan, God showed me things in the Bible that was in scripture that I never saw before. Okay? And two things it's going to do. It's going to strengthen our Bible study teachers. It's going to increase their faith. Not only is it going to strengthen our Bible study teachers and strengthen their faith, but it's also going to produce teachers. Because we're going to send the people home, with the lesson plan for them to go home and study and bring it back, okay? And when they come back and when they begin to share with their Bible study leader what God has revealed them through Scripture, we're going to be able to identify people that God has given the gift of teaching that they don't even know they got the gift of teaching, okay? And begin to train them, okay, those that we discerning that God got that gift based on the information that God has given them to bring back to us. I'll be able to determine whether or not they really have the gift of teaching, that the Spirit is really giving them that gift based on their responses that they come back. And we're going to use those people to train and to increase our teachers. And we're doing it right now in Hayneville, but our plans, we perfected in Hayneville. We're going to take it to our different 5 distribution sites, to the 5 churches, and we're being very intentional about which church we use now, okay? We're focused. I know all the pastors in Lowndes County, okay, all of them, okay, because I've been down there working with them for the last 17 years, okay? I'm focusing on those pastors that I know that, number one, got a heart for people in the community, okay? Number 2, they're Bible-based. Their teaching is Bible-based, okay? Those are the pastors that I'm trying to target that right now we're in partnership with. Pastor that I know is just going to be the Bible-based teachers, and they're concerned about the community. And as we continue to develop those relationships through food, I'm going to take that program, once we perfected in Hayneville, take it to that pastor, okay? Get with the people that he's going to identify in this community that want to take on that challenge, okay, for that particular community until we get all 5 different areas, okay? That way, and through this, we'll be able to, I believe with my whole heart, for the first time since Lowndes County been established, evangelized that entire county with the good news of the gospel of Jesus Christ. That's the vision. And if we're already working it, it's already working. So it's not like, we just, throwing some up. No, it's already working. We've already got the relationship. We've already got people that's in place, okay? So everything is just falling in line. And like I say, the way God has given it to us, it's going to be, the whole ministry is going to be very, very cost efficient. It's not gonna cost a lot of money to do. All we just need to do is build a relationship and get people to commit to it.
Brother Sylvester, let me make an observation as I listen to you. So it seems that you're doing two very good things. First of all, we're looking at your food ministry there, meeting the human needs of folks. But then as the second part of your outreach there, you're also doing the job training, job skills program. But then the other part here is number 3, is that you have a Bible-based ministry where you're reaching out into the small study groups. I assume that's been a part of your ministry all the time, but it sounds like you have just beefed it up here lately with the addition of our brother there. My question is, as all of these things represent a part of the efforts of the Montgomery Baptist Association through Love Out of Montgomery County, I would like to see a summary in perhaps 1 or 2 pages so that we could make it a part of our executive committee report quarterly, so that we could see with clarity and some succinctness what that ministry is doing over there. Is that possible?
Absolutely, absolutely, Dr. Finn. Absolutely.
I've got some questions and some observations.
Okay.
I know that shocks you that I have something to say. I'm gonna take this off if y'all don't mind. Maybe I won't infect anybody in here, hopefully that's not the case. You know, that's the whole point of wearing masks, they say, is that you're not infecting anybody else, even if you're not aware. So I have not been tested, but to my knowledge, I am not positive for COVID-19. So, I'm not surprised that you're getting the response that you're getting, because we're called upon to be the hands and feet of Christ. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of pastors that are the mouthpiece, but there are words and not actions.
Yeah.
And people recognize when you're doing what you say you're going to do, and people respond to that, which is the very reason that it's always a gateway into ministry when you're serving people's physical needs, because it opens up their hearts and their minds to meet their spiritual needs. So I'm not surprised at all that that's the response that you're getting, and I hope it only continues to build. A couple of questions that I have is, do you have the physical space for freezers right now? If we could find some funds for some freezers or try to facilitate some fundraising for some freezers, do you have a place to put them?
Well, that was actually my next presentation about that particular issue. The 3 critical things that we need to, as a task force to make a decision on, are these 3 things, and I got them listed. Number 1 is on that Love Lowndes County Task Force meeting for the little agenda that I put out. The first one is a target date for the completion of the ministry center, and I think that we're going to hear from our brother Ron about that. That's the first thing. The second thing is a budget for the ministry, especially for the food portion of the ministry, because we can't. The reason why I gave that number, because I wanted the task force to know just how feasible, how doable this is, that won't stretch our budget, at all very far to feed, almost 100 people every week for a whole year for a little over $6,000. Okay, so that's why I brought those numbers. Okay, but we need to know that. That we got those funding. I think it's like $117 a week, right? It's just $117 a week. Talking about $400, maybe $500 a month. Okay, and the other thing is freezers. Some would prefer Lowndes County to store meat and perishable items that are so desperately needed in a county that don't have but one grocery store. The only facility that we have is that small ministry center at this current time. And the problem with Lowndes County is this: there are no facility. There's no building. Like when I look at Haynesville right now, the only place I know that's available, right on that corner across from the Philly station. I don't know who that building belongs to.
Which one are you talking about?
Right on the corner. It used to be a store when I was little.
Western Auto?
You talking about
Western Auto.
You talking about the building catty corner across from the QV over there?
Yes.
On the corner, Carl Bell owns that, I think,
Okay.
stores.
Carl,
Caskets over there.
Oh, so I didn't even, I thought it was vacant. I thought that was vacant, so I thought,
Jared don't
He might come from the freezer.
we ain't going in there. That's a graveyard.
Jerry owned it, and then I think he may still own it.
Okay.
But I think Carl was leased it from him, but for some reason I thought that Carl had purchased the building from Jerry.
And he probably, he did.
Yeah.
I thought he did.
He did.
And so last I heard that Carl was using it for casket storage.
Uh-huh.
See, I didn't even know that. I thought it was vacant, so I said, well,
Yeah.
maybe that's a building, but there's.
So I don't know, the other options would be, what is the county doing with the old health department building
Nothing,
down behind the jail, behind the old jail?
nothing.
When it's being broken out of it.
Yeah, I mean, but it's in such a state of disrepair, it would cost a tremendous amount.
So this is so been called.
Bring it back up.
It was nice.
Next to
It
that.
wasn't right now, before it looked like.
It really was. They used to have the chill spot, the family guidance center used to be over there before, they moved back up to where they are in the current location. I guess that was 2 locations ago. But that's the problem with anything, as you have found in your involved in Naples, there's not a lot of space. There's just not a lot of business space in Naples without there being some type of construction. Another thing to consider, walk-in coolers are not terribly expensive to build. Because all these guys, I know Randy is building one right now in his barn. A lot of hunters use them and make little smaller walk-in coolers for hanging deer.
Okay.
And they're really relatively inexpensive. The panels are not terribly expensive. They're the insulating panels. And the biggest cost is the actual unit that does the refrigeration. But you could construct one if you looked into the cost and kind of get people that are into looking for such things. If we keep our eyes out, we could probably find one that was, relatively small, maybe half the size of this room, something like that. And it might be worth considering if you could locate one of those type of walk-in coolers or just fabricating one, building a standalone structure solely for the purpose of housing a walk-in cooler. But a lot of hunting lodges, like the Southern Sportsman Lodge out there, they have their own walk-in cooler. And it's about a quarter of the size of this room.
Do they keep it stocked?
Well, during deer season, they're utilizing it to store, because people hang deer, age
Okay.
after you shoot a deer. And so I know several people that have little small walk-in coolers, and they're not nearly as expensive as you'd think. And so rather than having to buy 3 or 4 freezers to be able to store all this, it may be more cost effective to look into finding a used walk-in cooler that's been taken apart. And that might be something we can consider.
And we did at the city, talking about caskets, we had one for bodies, and it was outside.
Okay.
So then you wouldn't necessarily need
Space.
space, you could, put it outside,
Okay.
outside the building.
Yeah, it could be a standalone structure that you just, build a foundation for.
Well,
Well, and I know that you do have some extra space on the other side of the parking lot over there if you had to do another.
Oh, we got plenty. Yeah, we got plenty of space.
So that's what I'm saying, just think outside the box and don't feel like we gotta be limited to having, large freezers and where we're gonna put large freezers. You could say, hey, let's just do a standalone facility. And then you've got the capability of storing whatever you need to store in there. And most of them aren't cold enough to keep. Some of them are, some of them aren't. Some of them are just refrigerators, some of them are freezers. And so it just depends on what kind of unit you get and how much you want to spend, but that would be something to consider. But from the freezer standpoint, if we need some freezers just for right now, then we need to look into that. Maybe we can look into maybe some churches donating some funds, or maybe purchasing a freezer and donating things like that for the ministry.
We do, because we just lost a whole pallet full of meat.
32,000 pounds of steaks. That was awful, but we didn't have any place.
We didn't have any place to store the food.
If you get something like that, if you will call me, because I know some people around the county, particularly right now, people aren't using
Okay.
walk-in coolers. Some of these folks are hunting lodges. There's a friend of mine that's that's down in Calhoun that has a big high fence operation and has a walk-in cooler that's probably half the size of this room that most of them are not utilizing right now. People start, when deer season gets in, they're using those because they're storing deer and things. There's a lot of people that have those coolers that are people you wouldn't ordinarily think of to a place to store something like that.
Well, we need to.
Let me chime in with another question here. Sylvester, I'm hearing you say that you lost some food that you couldn't distribute in a timely manner. My question is, what is the coordination between your facility and the Lowndes store? Because it seems that there is sufficient need that we wouldn't have to let any food be around long enough to ruin. So is there any coordination? How much coordination is there with the Lowndes store so that we can move food to where it needs to be expeditiously?
But I'm gonna let, that's above my pay grade, so I'm gonna let someone else answer that question, Doc.
Well, it is. Is there coordination between your group and the Lowndes store? That's what I need to know.
Yeah, we're one body in many parts. Yes, sir. All of us work for the NBA.
So in other words, when you got a meat going down, call me, because I'll help you move it.
Okay.
Call me. Because that's what the Salvation Army does. Whenever they got a cooler going down, they call me. Or anytime somebody's got a donation that they got to refrigerate, I move it.
Do you have anywhere to store it? You know, like we had how many pounds of meat?
Judge does.
32,000 pounds.
We're going judges. All I'm doing is transport
Well,
them.
we can call, make some calls, if it's an emergency situation. Now, I'd hate to start utilizing people's personal freezers just
Right, I
on a
understand.
regular basis, but if it's an emergency situation like that, I suspect there's some people that we can call, reach out to and say, hey, we've got an emergency, we've got a bunch of meat that was donated, and we're gonna have a distribution maybe the day, the following day, or 2 or 3 days later. Can we store it in your cooler for, a couple of days, so.
You see, Doc,
If you got meat down there, we want to keep it down there, so we want to keep it.
you see, Doc, with the rolling store, it doesn't have any refrigeration on it either. So I mean, even if with the store, it wouldn't benefit us at all unless we just needed Brother Jeremy to come down because we got too much meat to really move in vehicles and whatnot for him to bring the bus down. But even if you brought the bus down, we would have to transport it to somewhere where we can keep it refrigerated till we can get it out.
Right, that's one of the issues is coordinating, getting it to the families. You gotta have a place to set up.
Store
You
it.
gotta call a place and say, hey, we're coming, we've got this food, but usually there's 2 days. Once you get the food, you've gotta get it planned.
Right,
There's
right.
a lot of planning to this distribution.
Right,
It is a lot of work,
a lot of work.
and you're doing a great job.
2 other questions that I have. I'm sorry.
Well, I hear you again on that. When we did the food distribution with partnership with the food bank, what we did was to have a standing list of families there who were needed. My suggestion would be that you may want to look at that, have a list of families already there who need it. So whenever food come in, it wouldn't have to wait. You would get it out immediately to those families who need it.
Yeah, but the way we getting meat now and perishable food is just, some of our partners just calling, because the Salvation Army called, and it gets very difficult because you don't want the people not to get the produce and the milk and the meat. But when they call you, like a few weeks ago, the lieutenant called from the Salvation Army, he had some meat, okay, and I had did that one time to get some milk down there, but it was so tedious, and I mean it was a lot of work, okay, and I hadn't identified the families that needed it, so I just got it and carried it to the community and just drove around and issued it out. But that's not something that we need to do. And then the last call I got from him, I decided that's not something that we need to do, okay, because we didn't have any place to store the milk, and some of the perishable food that they had and they wanted to give to us, so I had to turn that food down because of lack of storage space.
And what happens on the Salvation Army end is they're receiving it, they're getting a call at 8 and said, I'm bringing a truckload of leftovers to you right now. And now figure out what to do with it, and then, of course, Sylvester told the rest of that story. So it's kind of a sad, glad moment. We say yippee, but we also say oh no.
Yeah.
Because but it's good to know we got some emergency.
Right.
Also trying to mobilize your workforce too.
Yeah, it's just And unfortunately, because of summertime, that has to be done on the dock. Because milk and steaks on the last, really.
My other suggestion, I know you talked about doing yard work, doing some minor repairs and things. You know, we've kind of created a cottage industry at Hammond Baptist Church in construction of wheelchair ramps. And so, keep us in mind, so that we can partner with you on that. And our crews kind of got it down to an art form on what they need, you know, material costs. And generally, we just taken that on as a mission out of our church. So that would be something we could partner with y'all doing and not even have any additional expense for the ministry. That'd just be something we just pay for out of our funds from Hamel to be able to contribute. So, something else to consider. The only other thing I wanted to ask you, and I know I sent you this on the messenger the other day, if you can, I know sometimes we don't know well in advance, but if we're gonna have distributions well in advance, make sure we get the flyers out so that we can be publicizing those, because I'm happy to share them on Facebook.
Okay.
It's just hard when I get it at 8 o'clock and the distribution's at 8:30. There's not much I can do from putting it out on Facebook to help in that regard.
Let me give you some, let me make it a lot clearer. It's very difficult to operate a ministry without a facility. And so what we've been doing is we got a lot of people, we got a lot of pieces moving all the time, okay, but we don't have any specific place to coordinate it from, to organize it. And so a lot of things are done, and we really hit the ground right now just so that when we do get the facility up and operating, we'll already be, moving forward. And so everything we're doing right now is in preparation for once the building get up, we can get in it, we can get all our files, we can get all our people and get them trained, and then we can be more organized. Until then, because right now we operating at our church, out of Ms. Johnson's house, other people's trucks, we're using other people's trucks, other people's cars, and it's just so uncoordinated, okay? But we wanted to do something during the plague, okay? Because people needed food.
It's been a need.
Yeah, it's been a need, so we moved.
Hey, Mr. Johnson, so in reference to like Thursdays, I know you and I have been coordinating every Thursday. You guys have been doing food distributions. Or do you guys still have that over the next couple of Thursdays?
I got an email from you now, you say it's gonna be discontinued.
So the text that I sent you was the source I had for 2 weeks was on hold.
Right.
But I was working on another source.
Right.
So I'm still working on another source
So
as far as milk goes.
Okay.
So were you guys planning on doing something on Thursdays again? Like this Thursday? Because I know you're still ordering from the food bank
Right.
and distributing
We-
that. Because all you were getting through the partnership I had was produce and milk.
Right, but right now, we just dealing with the, food bank, we still getting the 30 senior boxes, along with the regular food. We
You
have.
get that once a month.
Right, we pick up tomorrow, and once we pick up tomorrow, we return back to Jonathan House of Prayer, where we have the sorted, and where we have to bag it, and we're dealing with Leader Hatchet. Leader Hatchet have to come down and pick theirs out for theirs.
So what day? So you're doing your food distribution tomorrow?
We don't know,
You don't know yet?
I don't know yet. It all depends on the volunteer. It all depends on the bagging. Once we bag, and then we got to find out, the freezer. Now, see, this will be another problem with our freezer space. We only have one upright freezer. That's all, and we have the church refrigerator. So we can only get so much in that. So it depends on whether we're gonna be able to house what we order for the meat and whatnot.
Yeah, you gotta order what you need for that week.
Right, for that meat, that's what we order. Because like I said, whenever we distribute this week, we're gonna deal with Havel, but we know when we do Havel, we have clients coming from other counties. You see what I'm saying?
Like communities or
Right.
counties?
Yeah, they cross over.
Also, we deal with Havel, then we got Leader Hatchet coming to Havel, we have Mawson coming to Havel, we're trying to nip that in the bud, where we deal strictly with Havel, and we deal strictly when we go to Mawson, we deal strictly with Mawson, but for some reason, they just,
But once we get in our building, we can get organized with the pastors, we can bring them in. Because right now it's hard for me to really solicit funding. I'm being honest, okay? I know some of these pastors and some of these people want to give, but I mean, they can't see anything. You understand what I'm saying? Because we operating out of everywhere. And so I can't bring the pastors, together to sit down, to present the plan, the ministry, the vision to them until we got that facility where it's up and we're operating, where it's functioning, where they can actually see it. Okay? And until that happens, I can't bring them together because it'll just be words to them. Okay? And so right now, like I say, we just staying active, trying to do as best we can with what we got until we can get up, operational and functional. And when that happens, like I say, we'll be already on the ground running. So I already know what's going to really happen. But until then, we just.
As far as food goes, though, I mean, because we got a lot of church buildings that have structures as far as food, like coming together. I don't know if Haynesville Baptist Church comes to mind, because I'm sure they have a fellowship hall where they could do food assimilations in their building that they have. And correct me if I'm wrong, but if you were to reach out to them, do you think you could do your food assimilation there and then use that as your hub until the structure is up?
Well, see, that's a whole nother issue. You're talking about, that would be something for, I guess, our DOM, because that's a church. Mm-hmm. And a lot of time, I pastor my church, but the people really are really in control for real. Okay, I'm gonna just be honest with you. Like, I've been in, and I want to share this too, because the hymn ministry, praise God, is changing lives. But they've been using our youth room since January, okay? And they're continuing to get, supplies and equipment for their ministry that they're gonna need, okay? And it's just building up in our church, okay? I'm getting some, and I can't complain, because some of the people at the church are being concerned because our facility, we haven't gotten it back yet. We can't even use our youth room, okay? But I'm not going to put this ministry out, okay? Because it's impacting the life of people, okay? That's not going to happen. But all that pressure is on me.
Can I interject something?
Sir?
Can I interject something?
Yes, sir.
In my observation, we're going in circles, and I thought one of the primary purposes was to discuss the need for the building. I think if we can get the building resolved, we can move on with some of these other things. But we need to get the purpose of the building, not the purpose of the building, but get the building resolved on how fast we're going to move and when it will be ready.
Okay, we can do that.
That was my observation too, Sebastian.
All right, we'll let Brother Ron take it from here.
Well, I know the hymn ministry has taken over the building, which is good. It's a wonderful ministry, but we only have 200 square feet of storage space for food. And in that 200 square feet, we have one designated circuit for a freezer. So if you're expecting to put a bunch of freezers in 200 square feet, we're in trouble, because we have just finished electrical, chasing every wire in the building and checking it out, and doing all the plumbing, and we've got one dedicated circuit out of all of that's in the food storage area. So freezers, if we're going to do something, if we're going to put multi-freezers in there, then we need to change up everything in the food storage area, because we're going to have to run some more dedicated lines in there. So
I like the outside unit. I mean, you got ground level, that's going to be optimal whenever you're loading and unloading. I think do an outside unit altogether. I wouldn't worry about that inside.
So we've got one line.
Well, I appreciate your report, but I want to stop you and go back to my original question, because Trevor got to it earlier. And I asked earlier too, I appreciate the hymns ministry and all of that, but what I want to hear is the completion date of the store that's going on now. I think if you get that out of the way, then we can talk about the hymns ministry. See, the hymns ministry is another undertaking, but I, like Trevor, want to hear about the completion date of the food facility, for which I know that additional grant money has come in for that. You're working on it, you're looking at a completion date, and I want to hear about it. And then we can get to the hymns ministry. It sounds like you are going in a circle a little bit. You're trying to do one thing, before you finish your primary project. And that is food distribution for people in need. Yes, I wanna get out the gospel, I wanna, do Bible study to folks, but I want to go with the primary focus of the building as it was planned first. Finish the store, have a place for your food, and then look at the other outreach efforts that you're talking about. I think if you do that in a kind of planned, calculated way, you can kind of see your way to the finish line a little bit better, Brother Sylvester.
Okay, well, right now, we have all the materials list. We sat down and went through everything that we had discussed from the beginning about what material to put on the walls, the ceiling, and the floor. And we've decided, we've already placed an order from the Marvin store in Greenville, and they're just waiting on me to pay for it. And as soon as I get it paid for, we're gonna have it delivered. We're going to need people that know what they're doing to put the paneling on the walls, the paneling on the ceiling, and the paneling on the floor. So Trevor has a pretty good team that's, that are qualified to do that. And main thing right now is getting the thing cleaned out again, get everything out of it so we can have this material delivered and we can start the ceiling, the floor, and the walls. That's the only three things that lacking. We've done the electrical, we've done the plumbing, and basically it's getting skilled labor to come in. And if we can't get skilled labor volunteers, then I've heard that we probably need to go ahead and hire it done. So that's where we are on all of that right now. I've got the materials list. It's waiting on it to be delivered right now, and I've already checked with a few of sources. Jim Johnson, that's done work for the association, he and I have been over there the last 3 weeks, putting our heads together on what we should use. The ceilings will not support only with the framework of the ceiling. It's going to only support a 1/4-inch sheet of plywood. So we've already figured out what we need to do there. And basically it's 200 sheets of Luan, and basically is putting them up. We've already done all the electrical walls, and we know where all the fixtures at work are. So it's basically just putting everything together.
Ron, do you have any dates in mind when you're gonna be able to get your materials and have?
The materials is waiting on me now. All I gotta do is go to Greenville and go ahead and sign the form, and it'll be delivered whenever we say.
Do you wanna try to
And
schedule?
what is the estimated date of completion?
Don't have one, because
Yeah, until we get-
too much to do.
But that's what I'm asking.
Yeah.
Do you wanna, cause I don't mind getting, there's several of our deacons at our church that are skilled craftsmen that can come in and help with that. We've done construction projects. It just takes coordination. And if you can give me some dates and say, look, if you wanna say on this Saturday, we're gonna have a work day, come and do it, then we can get some people to show up. I just need to get, some idea of what you wanna
We
do.
can start this Saturday as far as I'm concerned. I mean, I've been waiting. It's hard to get people when you have different things like COVID virus shows up in the middle of Hannibal, which is one of the worst counties that had it. So, you talk to people and they're afraid to go over there. So we lost one whole church that was afraid to go because of the virus. So I'm ready this Saturday. I mean, like I said, I've got the materials already ready, sitting and waiting at the store on us to have a place to put it. And for a completion date, it just all depends on, brother, who shows up, who doesn't.
Thank you.
Ron,
If I may say something. When we go to work on that, we do not need to be flooded with people inside that building. The
Exactly.
more people you have, the less work that's going to be done. If we can work one team, perhaps of 6 people on one day, 6 another day, it will move much quicker than bringing in 12, 15, 20 people at one time, or you will be in each other's way.
We've noticed that when
Actual date is going to depend upon when we get people to come and work. And I'm not asked the people that I know until we know the material will be there. And I can ask them, and they will probably prefer to work during the weekday. And Adrian, I believe that's you that's there with Haneyville. If you've got some men to come work on a Saturday, perhaps over, say, 3 to 4 weeks, between working a couple of days through the week and on Saturdays, we might be able to get it done. But we're gonna have to get with each other, work out a schedule when we can. And to do that, for my people, I've got to talk with them to see when they will be available, and then